Hello traders, this is Rich Derrick from Tradesight. I just wanted to take a few minutes and circle back and look at Royal Gold, RGLD. We've been tracking this stock for a couple of weeks now, and we were alerted to the fact that this stock was poised to make a reversal to the downside by an indication given by our proprietary indicator, the Seeker. Back on September 28th, we had noted in a previous YouTube video that the Seeker countdown, that's counting down for an exhaustion inflection point, was near completion. At the time, the exhaustion count, which we looked to get to 13 to indicate a reversal, had gotten to 11 out of the 13 necessary days to indicate a high probability reversal. This time we'd alerted traders that you should be ready to exit any longs and begin to evaluate the chart here for a suitable short entry. Now scrolling the chart a little bit further to the right, which we've just done, you can see how the Seeker countdown, which are these red labeled numbers to the upside here, have progressed from 11 to 12 to 13 days up. And the 13th day up here signals that the stock is expected to be exhausted and ready for a reversal to the downside. But while we did get a Seeker exhaustion signal, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be short right at this moment or on this candle. Instead, what we had said on October 5th was that you need to wait for a break and a close below the 10 exponential period moving average, which is our moving average here on this chart that's depicted in yellow. Now on October 8th, we did get the break and the close below our 10 exponential period moving average, the 10 EMA. Settlement that day was $96.36, and that is the point at which you should have entered this trade on the short side and used the Seeker risk level as your stop loss. At this point, we were expecting the chart to turn to the downside and produce at least 9 consecutive days to the downside of a decline. At that point, the first portion of the downswing would have fulfilled itself, where we would have taken some money off the table on the short side. Now moving one day further ahead here in time, you can see that we did get 2 consecutive closes that followed the initial break below the 10 period EMA. We had range expansion to the downside here on this candle number 5. Then we had kind of an inside almost little measuring day that followed on after that. Price was still contained below the 10 EMA, and the short under $96.36 is still in the money. Now there's the development that happened after this, which was something that should not have been unexpected for people that were using and privy to the exhaustion signal that we had already recorded off of the Seeker up here with the 13. And that was that the company came out and issued a secondary that further drove prices even lower. Now here's a look at the chart with the Seeker taken off of it. Shows the same range expansion to the upside. There's a little bit of a congestion up here. There's no exponential period moving average on here. This is just the naked chart. But a lot of traders were kind of trapped. They were still long this for a variety of different reasons that we'll take a look at in a moment. But the fact of the matter is that the company, after this close here, announced that they were going to sell 5.25 million shares at $91 down here at this red line. So that produced this large gap on the chart and put the short trade that was indicated by the Seeker even further in the money. So we were short on this candle here at 96.36. The company came out and sold 5+ million shares at $91 and then left it up to the market to have to digest that. Now we were well aware of the fact that the stock up in this area was expected to roll over and head lower. And this is something that we take very seriously when we get an exhaustion warning from the Seeker. Now here's one of the reasons that a lot of people would have missed this rollover and this opportunity here. Now here's the same chart again. I've just cleaned it up a little bit and taken off the graphics. But you can see we've got this excellent run to the upside, this breakout out of this lateral consolidation here. There's a little bit of a pause here. But the thing is, the whole time that this was pausing and starting this very subtle decline, the volume was essentially still on the downswing. We had this volume peak up here. We had some volume pulling down and back in here. And generally, when stocks are declining on lower volume, classical technical analysis says that you should stay put with your position and not be too concerned about it because there hasn't been any meaningful selling yet. But the flaw with that methodology is that it didn't take into account the fact that the Seeker had put in place the exhaustion warning up here and projected this downside move. So while the volume was declining here on the pullback, you can see this big spike here, which was on the secondary day, and then all this subsequent volume that picked up to the downside here as these late longs up here got washed out of the trade. This is something that was actually expected by us and was used to our advantage as price continued lower and as our short trade went more and more in the money. Now again, here's one more look at the chart with the Seeker and the 10 exponential period moving average. Our short entry was here, the first close under the 10 EMA. We've declined all the way down to produce 9 bars down on the setup, which fulfilled the minimum requirement. We had a little bit of a bounce back here, never even came back to interact with the 10 EMA, and now we're rolling back to the downside here. And this last close was the low close of the move, which has the short back in the money by more than $10. So right now the short's $10 in the money and is still working. So we'll keep you up to date on this trade. The static trend line here, which is automatically plotted off of the Seeker, will definitely be something that we're going to keep an eye on in the future, and we'll check back with an update in a little bit here and keep you informed as to how the rest of this trade keeps developing. Again, if you'd like to come in and learn a little bit more about the Seeker and how we use it, feel free to take a trial. You can take a free trial of the Seeker tool, and also feel free to take a trial and come into the trading lab and talk to the analysts in real time, and we can share charts and talk about how we use the Seeker every day to maximize our profitability. Thank you for listening. This is Rich Derrick from Tradesight.